What's up, everyone? Welcome into another edition of our NFL DFS DraftKings Advice podcast. This one obviously is for the divisional round. Essentially, this is probably the last, I guess not probably, this is literally the last slate that has a reasonable amount of games because obviously the championship games are up next. That's only going to be two, assuming that's what they make it. I would guess that, but we do have 4 games this week between Saturday and Sunday, and they actually made an entire slate out of them, which congrats to the DFS sites. Bravo. After totally flopping all on the wild card round, we are back to the 4-game slate, which is really nice. Before I forget to mention this, I am your host, Justin Bales, joined by Ben Hostler. It has been a hot minute since we've done one of these or even a podcast together. So, Ben, how are you doing?
I'm good. Y'all thought we were done, but man, the sites came through with this 4-game slate. I literally think I was talking to Sam a little bit the other day, but I think this is the funnest, most fun DFS slate of the entire year. I think this is just a really fun slate, and I'm really, really happy that they kept it as the 4 games.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a lot of really good games. I think the biggest spread is Green Bay at what is it, 6 or 6.5 at this point? One
Yeah,
of
I think
those two.
yeah.
That's the biggest spread. Outside of that, they're all at like 3, aren't they?
hmm
So, I mean, good slate. Odd here. I did want to quick ask you this, and this has nothing to do with football. It's just a weird thing that happened that I actually wanted to know. So, any viewers here too, because Ben lives up north, where it's seems more normal for snow and stuff. But we're getting snow tonight in Raleigh. Back when I
Yeah.
lived near Philly, if you got snow, nothing changed. Like you could get 30 inches of snow and everyone would just like go about their day. Down here, if it starts snowing out, it doesn't need a stick or anything, and the entire county is screwed. It's absolutely ridiculous. But we went to the store. We wanted to make chicken parm tonight. Didn't have the chicken breasts. Dude, there's no chicken in the store. It was sold out there, and the only thing I can think of is that it's supposed to snow tonight. Does that happen in Ohio, or are you guys normal?
No, I think that's all like down south or like if it randomly once in a while it'll snow like in Texas or something. I think that's more down south, like just because they're not used to getting it, so when they do get it, it's like they act like the world's ending. Yeah, but no,
It's
it's pretty normal here.
it's like the weirdest stuff is gone though. There's no frozen French fries. What
Well, some of that is like supply chain too, like just in general,
I
right now. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
thought that too because like the deliveries, I thought they said the deliveries got backed up from the snowstorm in
hmm
like DC I think it was last week, which makes sense to me. That's fine, but like there weren't any fries. Like there's no fries. There wasn't a single package of like chicken. There's no like beef or anything. Like just literally no food at all. And I like just did every delivery truck not make it? Like every single one? Because
yeah, I don't
it's
know. I mean, to your point, that does kind of happen up here. Like if people know it's gonna snow a lot, they'll act like they won't be able to get out of their house, so they'll go to the store. But
dude,
probably
it's
not to the
so weird.
extent of down there, maybe.
It's also really weird because like when it snows down here, it's like you don't even get an inch and it's melted by the next day.
Yeah.
So like you're not even stuck in your house for more than I don't know, 5 hours maybe. But I don't know. I just thought that was weird. If anyone else experiences that stuff and that's like a normal thing down south, please let me know because this is essentially our first winter down here. We moved literally a year and 2 days ago. And I don't think I think we might have gotten 1 day of snow since we've been down here. So, I mean, nothing crazy. So, if you live down south and this is a normal occurrence, 1, stop it. And 2, let me know so I can just plan for these ridiculous occasions. But I mean, moving to this actual slate, before we get started, if you enjoy our podcast, go ahead, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. You can turn on the notifications with the little bell. That will send you all of our videos. We obviously have daily NBA ones going out. Also have some other stuff that we do on the channel. And then you can drop any comments you have below. Let us know who you like. If you have any questions, we'll be in throughout the week to answer them. Obviously, this is being recorded at 4:20 on Thursday, which is January 20th, 2 days before the first game starts and 3 days before the last 2 start. So plenty could change, I guess. There's still some questionable guys that really could change the slate. A lot of defensive guys questionable that will push people into better spots and such. So any questions you have, ask them below. We'll be in throughout the week to answer them. Obviously, dfskarma.com is where you can find all of our stuff. Speaking of which, if you're watching on YouTube, I've just pulled up our projections. Wanted to give you guys a sneak peek at these bad boys. This is what you get, part of the core plays package. Obviously, if you're looking at this right here, I'm hovering over the pricing tab. It's on the site, dfskarma.com. You get Sam's projections, which have been outstanding. As you can see, they come with karma value, salary, all the normal stuff, teams. You can break them down. So you scroll up, it goes quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, defense, all the positions. Just a ton of information. The big one specifically is karma value, which basically tells you who's the best per dollar player. Essentially, that's our per dollar. We call it karma value, and who the top options. Right now, you have Josh Allen as the number one, Mahomes right behind him, all the way down to Jimmy Garoppolo, the quarterback himself, down as the last option. But you, along with the projections, also get our premium content along with into our premium Discord. And then obviously you get the core plays as well, what the package is named after. I taken those off now. You can look at the beautiful faces of myself and Ben. We will also, I believe at some point, be adding in Matt. I don't know when. It's kind of up in the air. He's trying to hop on around his work schedule. He just wanted to make sure that he was on the last major podcast of the year. So we will bring him in as soon as he joins, and he'll just kind of add whatever he can to the thing. We're going to go game by game. Generally, we go position by position, changing it up game by game. I feel like I am just rambling on right now. So let's kind of get into it, starting with the first game, Cincinnati versus Tennessee. Ben, you take over. Talk to me about the game.
Yeah, so first game of the weekend, 47 over under. Titans currently minus 3.5 at home. I think when I first looked at this slate, I didn't love this game, but the more the week's gone on, I'm a little bit more interested here. I think the Titans are going to win this game. Personally, I don't know if you disagree with that, but I think the Titans are going to win. I think I've kind of been the last hour before we hopped on here. I was kind of messing around because I haven't looked at making any lineups yet. So I started to try and build lineups because I kind of went into it today. I was kind of thinking I was going to use Tannehill. I don't know if I'm going to need to, but I think Tannehill's a good play. He's actually been really good, both real life and better fantasy wise with AJ Brown and Julio Jones both active. Both will be active for this game, so that's big for him. He doesn't have the rushing upside of someone like Josh Allen or even Mahomes, but he is a threat to run and can always run one in, which he does actually quite often. So I think for his price, at least on DraftKings 5,800, I think he is a good play. I would probably stack him with AJ Brown if I was going to pick one, and I think AJ Brown's fine even as a one-off. I think the question here is kind of what people are going to do with Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry's fine. I think he's going to play. I think them acting oh, he might not be good to go. I think that's just the sake of trying to keep the Bengals on their toes or whatever. I think Henry's going to play and be fine. It just I don't know. I don't see why he would even come back and they said he passed his contact test or whatever. There's no way that he would even be getting ready to play in this game if it wasn't he's 100% ready to go.
Yeah, they posted videos of him getting hit at practice, and granted, not full contact. They weren't wearing leg pads. They weren't going low on him or anything. Completely up around the shoulders, just normal, not even ridiculously hard hits. But you're not going to do that if he's even questionable to re-injure anything. You know what I mean? He's too important to the team. So, and I mean, this is the type of game where I guess we're at the part in the season where you obviously can't lose. You lose, you go home. So they're going to do whatever they can to put their best lineup out there, right? And obviously that's Derrick Henry.
Yeah. So I think that a Titan stack is definitely in play here. I'm probably not going to have any Henry. This could be a mistake, but I think that mid 5 to 6K range at running back is loaded. I mean, there's 4 or 5 guys that I think are just really good plays that you can make the case for. So I'm probably going to side more with that range at running back. I'm not saying Henry's a bad play. I just personally, I'm going to take those savings and play some of those mid 5 guys because I think you're going to probably get, I mean, you're going to get really good workloads out of some of those guys in that range. And I just think that they're pretty much all underpriced. So I'm going to side more there, but I think Henry's fine if you want to play him. I think the Titan stack is a really good spot. Tannehill to AJ Brown. On the Bengals side, I don't think I'm going to play. I don't think I'm going to have any Burrow. I'm only going to play like 2 or 3 teams. I don't know if I'll have Burrow, but I think since he's definitely probably going to keep doing what they've been doing, and that's passing the ball. We saw that the last like 5-6 weeks of the season, like they really, started passing the ball more, closer to what they were doing last year. So I think you can make the case for Chase or Higgins. No one will play T Higgins just because he had 20 yards last week.
Yep.
So I think you can definitely make the case for either of them. Uzoma's probably a fade for me after that big game last week, and he was like decently owned too. He was like mid-30s, I think. Then had that good game, so I'll probably pass there. I think mainly from this game for me, it's like Titan stack, and then you can pick one of the Cincy receivers if you want. Mixon again, similar to Henry. Like I think I'm just taking the savings at running back because there's so many good plays.
Yeah, I mean, you outlined this really well. I think I might be a little bit higher on Cincinnati than you are in terms of their passing game. I don't like Mixon.
Yeah,
I think like if you want to take like the shot, feel free. But like you said, there's other running backs that are significantly better for their price tags. I completely agree with that. With that said, Mixon does get plenty of touches, so he can potentially break the slate if he starts breaking a couple long runs and stuff, but it's not really an ideal matchup for him. And that's not where I'm going in this game. The one big guy that I feel like is obvious, but also not so obvious. It feels like I've seen more people trying to find reason not to play him than to play him this week. And it's Jamar Chase. Very clearly, Joe Burrow is going to rely on Chase at this point in the season. Like I said earlier, we're in must-win games. Joe Burrow has been elite throughout his career since he was at LSU in games that have extreme meaning, that are the pressures on. Jamar Chase has been a massive reason for that. He's not going away from his college teammate. They obviously have so much chemistry at this point. So I've seen a lot of people say that Tennessee is just going to double Chase. No, they won't. And the reason they won't is if they do, they're going to get destroyed by T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. It's not an offense where you can completely send a guy over top of someone. You can't do that, and it's part of the reason why Chase is so good. And if they do that, and I get burned on Chase not necessarily getting the volume, and obviously they have 2-on-1 on him, then that's fine. But Cincinnati's offense is going to go off anyway. And if you're playing multiple lineups and your main one has Chase, you absolutely should be getting Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins and other ones, because, if they do double Chase, you have to assume that T. Higgins is just going to go crazy, right?
Yeah. Definitely. Like, I don't think I'd play them together unless I obviously was using Burrow, but picking one of them I think is fine. I mean, the only reason I like Chase, I love Chase. I was obviously we had him very high like coming into the season. We were on him like early this season. I have no problems using him. The only problem for me is he's 7,100 on DraftKings, and like Steph Diggs is 6,500. Like I think I would rather play Diggs. Just because I think that game's gonna be so good. Obviously, massive over under there. And then T Higgins is 5,700. Like what?
It's so dumb. Such a
What
bad
is that
price,
price, man?
No,
So
I
dumb.
completely agree. And I think that goes to reason why Chase is going to be so low owned. But I also think that that's part of the reason as to why Jamar Chase is such a good play as well. It was 3 weeks ago he dropped 60 fantasy points. Like
Yeah.
he's not.
Although
He's
I mean
not.
T Higgins also had he had that one game too that I used him for. What was it against? I don't remember who that was
Baltimore,
against,
right?
but
Yeah,
yeah.
He
Yeah, it
dropped
was
like
the
almost
Ravens.
50
Yep.
in that game. And don't get me wrong, I think Higgins is a really good play too. I don't think Tennessee's going to slow down really the passing attack. I think Joe Burrow is going to find plenty of success. I think Joe Burrow is a fine play on this slate as well.
Yeah, dude, just in general, what he did, dude, it's like very, very uncommon for these guys to have success like he did in their first playoff start. I mean, like just what he was able to do. I know it was the Raiders, and like you can say like they probably should have been in the playoffs, but dude, I mean, what he was able to do in his first start in the playoffs is crazy, man.
Yeah, just like really efficient too. And when you look at games that they need to win, the dude has been insane. Look at what he's done to end the season. Like 450 yards, 525 yards, 4 touchdowns in both of those games. Those are his 2 games to end the season. One clinched the division. What more could you want from a kid like this? And I mean, the dude is just ready for the spotlight. Like he doesn't, the spotlight's not too big for him whatsoever. He seriously enjoys it. I don't know. I think that Joe Burrow is a really good option. I think that the Bengals are completely a live dog in this game. Like you said, I do lean Tennessee. I think that, they're the better team overall. But I wouldn't be shocked whatsoever if the Bengals just kind of continue this hot streak. My only real concern with Cincinnati's offense is that Tennessee can just ride Derrick Henry. They hold on to the ball. They limit the amount of plays the Bengals run. Obviously, with the limited plays, limited opportunities, plus if they're using Mixon the way that they generally do, it really limits kind of what Burrow and company can do. So I think that's a question mark, but also at the same time, like I'm playing Burrow, especially if I'm stacking for upside. I'm not doing it for the consistency of it. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah. Um, before we move on to like as far as like a bet goes from this game, do you like anything? It can be like prop or anything. I don't know. I bet Titans personally, so that would probably just be mine. I haven't looked at the props yet. I'm gonna do that probably tomorrow.
Yeah, I do. I have a bet on this, but I'm not going to tell you guys it on stream. Why? Because I wrote
Oh,
an article for Bet Karma. Go check it out.
yeah, go
Got to
check
get
it
those
out.
clicks to the site. Betkarma.com. If you scroll down, you'll see my article. If you go under the NFL tab, my article will be right there as well. So um, go do it. Last week, I bet Zay Jones over 4.5 catches plus 110 odds. And I don't know if you saw, but on that final drive, he caught his 5th ball.
He
So
did.
cashed that. I was actually really shocked. I thought that was dead in the water as soon as he didn't catch a ball in like the second or third quarter. It was pretty insane.
Yeah, I had Waller over yards. I thought that was dead too. And then
Same. I
they
played
got
that
the
on
ball they got the
Prize
ball
Picks.
back, and then they threw him that ball and he didn't catch it. And I was like, oh, it's over. But then he made a crazy catch. Like that's the best way to go over. He just makes like an insane catch. It's
Yeah, no,
awesome.
I completely agree. We can shift to Green Bay, San Francisco. So Green Bay
Oh
obviously
baby,
takes
this is
on
the game,
San
dude. Dude,
Fran.
we might need a friendly wager on this. This is the game, dude.
Oh yeah, you're all over San
I'm
Fran.
all over San Fran, and obviously you're a Packers fan, so this is the game right
You
here.
let me know the wager, and I'll likely accept it. But
All right.
before we get started, this is actually really interesting. John Ewing posted this on Twitter for anyone wondering where I'm getting it from. The forecast for Green Bay San Fran, 8 degrees on Saturday
Nice.
night. Aaron Rodgers in games where it's 32 degrees or colder is 31, 11, and 7 against the spread, 74%. Jimmy Garoppolo has never played in a game below 30 degrees or 32 degrees. Dude, that's not good for San
For
Francisco.
sure. I think this is like I mean, this is like an over I feel like this is slightly overrated, like, thing, though. I don't know. It could just be me. Like, the same people that freak out about weather were saying, like, you can't play Josh Allen last week because
No,
it's
no,
gonna
no.
be, it's gonna be 1 degrees. Like, you can't
Yeah,
play, like I just think they're gonna run the ball. Like, the Niners are gonna
yeah,
come in and run the ball.
I agree. I think that the temperature is overrated. I think that's a really fun stat. I wouldn't ever make a bet specifically based on that. I think like you obviously need other reasons. I think in terms of DFS, very obviously the wind will affect stuff, but I do think that the temperature can slightly change the game. But one, I think that the temperature actually probably changes the game in San Francisco's favor because they just want to run the ball really. Two, I don't think Green Bay is going to even slightly care about the temperature. They are already used to it. But I will say there are some quarterbacks, Jared Goff, that literally just can't play in the cold. And obviously, we don't know that about Jimmy Garoppolo if he hasn't played in freezing weather yet. Like, who would have any clue at this point whether he can or can't do it, right? I think the bigger thing is that Jimmy Garoppolo just isn't good. I think
Yeah, I think
that's the more beneficial factor for Green Bay versus the weather.
yeah. This is gonna be a fun game. I think this is a better real life game than DFS. Like this is probably my least favorite game for DFS on the slate. I think my favorite value play is from this game, which is Randall Cobb. He's 3,100 on DraftKings. I think you just lock him in.
That's
Looks like
what were they doing?
Yeah, I don't know why. LaFleur said MVS is doubtful.
Yep.
So, he's probably not going to play.
Bakhtiari back helps boost the offensive line because
Is he back?
obviously
He did not practice today. So I
he
didn't know.
got rest. Bakhtiari played in week 18.
Yeah, so that he didn't practice today, and then they said he was questionable. I mean, I'm assuming he's going to play, but I just thought that was weird.
I think they labeled him questionable to cover themselves so they don't get fined or anything, but he literally got the day off for load management.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday. All right, the Packers just activated Randall Cobb literally as we're talking, so don't have to worry about that. I think he's the best value play on the slate on DK 3,100 if you need it. I don't like Aaron Jones because the Niners have really good run defense. I think Devontae, obviously, you can use. I prefer Cooper Kupp if you're picking one of those guys, but it's Devontae Adams. I'm never going to say he's a bad play. He easily can. I mean, the Niners' strength of the defense is the run defense, not the secondary. So he easily could have a good game here. No issues with that. On the Niners side, you could make the case for Debo. I mean, 10 carries last week is no joke. They clearly are going to keep getting him involved like that. And then Mitchell, I like Mitchell a lot. We just kind of talked about how they're going to run the ball. I mean, Mostert famously, I know it was 2 years ago, but they famously rode Mostert to beat the Packers last time they played him. He ran for 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. So,
to be fair, Green Bay's run defense not good this year.
Yeah,
either,
yeah.
so.
You that's how you. I mean, Mike McDaniel's going to attack how you need to, and I think you need to attack him on the ground. Mitchell, 21 plus touches in 6 straight games. So I think he's firmly in play for me at 58 on DraftKings. But other than Cobb, Adams, and Mitchell, and then maybe Debo, I'm probably not interested in here. Rodgers, no, just because if I'm spending up on a QB, I'm probably going to go with Mahomes or Josh Allen personally on this slate, but I think this is better real life than DFS game.
Completely agree. I don't know. It's tough. I feel like I like Debo a little bit more than you do, mainly because
dude, you cannot like understate that usage. Like 10 carries last week is insane.
The bigger thing is there's essentially, tell me if you think that I'm wrong here, but there's only 2 ways that this game plays out. One, San Fran can run the ball and the game stays close throughout. Or 2, Green Bay gets a couple early scores and San Fran's forced to throw the ball and it probably turns into a little bit of a blowout, right? Like those are the only real 2 options here, right?
Yeah, I would say the only 2 options are, like you said, I think it's close it's close. I don't think San Fran's going to blow them out. It's going to be close or Green Bay is going to blow them out. But
so
I don't know. I mean, in that Rams game though, so when the Niners played the Rams, what was that, the last week to get in the playoffs? I mean, they were down 17-0 and they still were just like running the ball. So I don't know if that's going to change. But regardless, like it doesn't change Debo being a good play because he already is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying for Debo. If the game stays close, he'll just keep getting his rush attempts. If the game doesn't stay close, they're just going to slide him out to receiver. So like there's no game script where Debo's not touching the ball, which is why I think that he's one of a very solid option. The big problem, obviously, is that Debo is within $1,000 of Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams. It's like you're not going to get a discount on him, really. I mean, 1,000's a decent amount, but on the slate, it's not going to be that difficult to find it. So I think that's relatively fine. I think Devontae Adams really good play. I think Rodgers is actually a good pivot because everyone's just going to go to that Buffalo Kansas City game, as realistically they should. You probably play Tom Brady up top there too. 300 cheaper than Aaron Rodgers. The big thing is if Aaron Rodgers walks out there, throws for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns, there's not a single person in the world that's going to be surprised. It's
correct.
It's Aaron Rodgers. That's in the realm of possibilities. Is it the most likely thing to happen? No, probably not. Most likely Aaron Rodgers isn't the top scoring quarterback, but he at least has the ability. So I think if you want to use him, that's completely fine. But I mean, I think you outlined it well when you said that this is a much better real life game than it is for fantasy. I completely agree with that. I think essentially on San Fran's side, like you said, Elijah Mitchell, Deebo Samuel, more or less where you're looking. I think if you want to take a shot on like George Kittle, he's actually relatively cheap at 5,300. Comes with plenty of upside, and this is kind of the type of game that he can find success in. And then on the opposite side, Devontae Adams is really the guy that you more or less want. I think if you want to use someone like Alan Lazard with Marquez Valdes-Scantling out, feel free. And then obviously you have Randall Cobb there as well, just for way too cheap. Everyone, Matt has joined. Let me get him into this stream real quick.
I'm so excited.
Let's get his thoughts on this game. This is
like the greatest thing. We should do this more often. Like someone, like we don't tell anyone. It's just a random person joins in the middle. We should do that.
Matty Ice in the house.
Let's go. Oh my God, he's got a collared shirt on, dude. I need to.
I just, I came from work, man. I'm at our apartment that we're staying in for a couple months here, so just holding the iPad, making it work.
Nice.
That's it. We're actually going game by game, not position by position for this one, and we are currently on San Francisco, Green Bay. Ben and I both agree this is much better real life than fantasy, but there are a few plays. What are you looking at? And I mean, the very obvious options that we talked about, Randall Cobb at 3,100. Eli Mitchell is too cheap. We both said Devontae Adams, very obviously. And then I was more on him than Ben, but Ben also said completely fine with him is Deebo Samuel. Is there, what else are you looking at here? Or break down any of those guys too, just whatever you like here.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that you guys are on Randall Cobb. Is he getting like steamed? Is he actually going to get some rostership, you guys think?
He's just too cheap.
Probably.
Activated, Valdes-Scantling doubtful.
The good thing is that there's a ton of value, I feel like. Like you might not need a $3,100 player. So that could work in his favor.
But Green Bay's passing, as far as touchdown percentage, it's through the air at the second highest rate in the league. DVOA differential for San Francisco. I mean, they're much better against the run than the pass. Obviously, their talent in the secondary is brutal. Quan Williams out of the slot is their biggest problem player. So, like now with no MVS and Lazard, Lazard has to go to the outside. He's 6'4". Cobb's a little slot guy. So, Lazard has been deadly out of the slot with touchdowns, in 3 straight games and all that. But with Cobb, man, just having that connection with Rodgers for a long time, I think they're going to be scoring through the air. I like it. I'm all over Devontae as well. I think Devontae is a slightly better play than Cooper Kupp this week, which pains me to say that because obviously the game environment is probably better in Tampa. But I do like Devontae in this matchup better. So I'm big on Devontae, big on big on Cobb. You would think I'd be all over Rodgers because of like those two, but I just think that if you're not playing Josh Allen, you're probably doing it wrong in general, this week.
Yep.
So I'm on those two guys. Yeah. I'm really not on anyone from San Fran, man.
No, are you projecting not projecting obviously, but are you thinking Green Bay wins handily, or you just don't like where San Fran's going?
No, yeah, I think they do. Garoppolo loves to turn it over. I don't think they're a team that's they got a lot of great offensive players to throw the ball around, but they're not really a team that likes to do that, right? Green Bay is forcing opponents to pass at a top 5 rate, and that's just not where Garoppolo's comfortable. And they like to establish the run and do all that. So I think Green Bay wins, but just in typical Green Bay fashion, they're probably going to put up 28 points before they start putting it in Dylan's belly a bunch of times. So Debo's nasty, man. He scores every game, but I was asking you earlier, Bales, if Zaire Alexander comes back, if Zadarius Smith comes back. I mean, those are probably their two best defensive players that they haven't had for most of the year. I think this could be a much better defense than people realize.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, especially because like when you look at if Jair Alexander plays, and then you obviously like they're not getting rid of Rasul Douglas, who made All Pro this year,
Right.
allows them to kind of maneuver what they want at their third corner. I'm assuming Eric Stokes gets the start. He's looked good as a rookie, and I mean, where are you attacking? Especially with two safeties over top. Like there's not that many places to attack. The only reason that I kind of outlined Deebo Samuel with Ben here before was because of the way that they're playing is if the game stays close, Deebo's going to get plenty of rush attempts. And then obviously if the game gets a little more out of hand, Deebo's just going to go play receiver. So I feel like he's one of the safer options in terms of his role. But at the same time, if he's getting the carries, he's not getting the catches, which we're playing on DraftKings on a PPR site, which kind of limits what he's doing anyway.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. Couple things to add. Cobb tied for 5th in the NFL in targets inside the 10-yard line also, which is a boost. He has 11 targets inside the 10 this season.
I think it's important to note, too, that Alan Lazard, who obviously has taken over quite a bit of the slot role, 8 touchdowns in his last 10 games. So, like, it's just game planning at that point. Like, Alan Lazard's not good enough to get open that much, so they're obviously game planning him the ball. Does that just go to Randall Cobb then? I mean, could be nice.
He gets really wide open. That's the thing, man. The defense is double Devontae, and Lazard's just a big guy, and he's open. So yeah, we could see it again. He's just so much more comfortable out of the slot, and he's not going to be in the slot this game. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and then I don't know, I think I'm more on Mitchell, I think, than Matt is. I mean, Packers, I know you said they're forcing teams to throw. I mean, they give up over 4 yards per carry on the ground this season. I might be the one guy that's giving way too much credit to San Fran, but I mean, they're literally higher in overall DVOA than the Packers. Like, I think this is a good team. I don't think anyone's giving them kind of that respect, but I mean, they're literally a better overall team per DVOA than the Packers.
My issue with San Fran isn't their team, right? My issue is Jimmy Garoppolo. You can't turn the ball over against Green Bay and win the game. It's not going to happen because they're so efficient.
Yeah,
Rodgers is
I mean,
so
but
good.
but these teams played on September 26th, and the Packers won by 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I have no problems with that. If you look at it, the game's in San Fran. It's early in the season before Rodgers really went on this ridiculous run that he's on. But when you look at Green Bay, the splits at home and on the road are just absolutely insane. They're 8-0 at home. They're averaging, I believe, like more than 0.1 point per play at home versus on the road. Their average margin of victories, it's ridiculous. The difference between them at home and on the road, which is the same with Tampa Bay. And one of the big reasons why I personally believed that whoever one of those two teams got the 1 seed should be the favorite to win the NFC, which then obviously Green Bay got it. I do think they should be favored to win it. But that I think is the big
home field is definitely, that's definitely working in their favor. But I think this game's just going to be closer than most people, I guess. Like the fact that like the DVOA differential, like I just mentioned, and they're getting 5.5 points, like I just think that's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I get where you're coming from. I think it's reasonable to believe that. I don't have really too many issues. 5.5 points is quite a bit for a playoff game. But, if San Fran gets down early, like they're going to get absolutely torched because Jimmy Garoppolo is not coming back.
Dude, Adams went ham in that game too. 12 for 132 and a touchdown.
All right, we're pretty deep into this podcast, and we still
this is what the people have come for. I mean, we only have 4 games. I mean, this is what they've come for.
Let's keep it trucking to Tampa Bay. Funny enough, it's them. Obviously, Tampa Bay 3-point favorite. I actually thought that was surprisingly low for them at home against the Rams. I thought it was going to be closer to like 4.5. But I mean, it is what it is. 48.5 points is the game total set at. So, Matt, since you just joined, let's start with you. What are you kind of looking at for the Rams-Bucks game?
On paper, obviously, this looks like a game that could, go about as well as it went the first time this happened. Was that week 3? I remember I
Yeah.
crushed that week.
Matt just
I played.
casually throwing in the
No, I did.
dominating.
I crushed. I crushed 12 out of the 18 weeks here. It's
I
that
did.
one
That
week
was
I crushed.
yeah. No, it was one of the weeks. But yeah, I played Cooper Cup and Higbee. They both Cooper Cup had 2 touchdowns. Higbee had 1. Played Stafford. I ran it back with Godwin, who went nuclear. And so yeah, that could happen. What also has happened lately is that both these teams are running a bit more. The Rams are seeing really good things out of Cam Akers. They're running inside the 10, inside the 5 quite a bit. We even saw Stafford annoyingly get a 1-yard sneak, for a touchdown last week. So I'm not as enthused as I was earlier in the year about it. Already kind of alluded to, thinking that Devontae is just a slightly better play, I think, than Cooper Cup. If you just look at the makeup of their teams, no one's shocked if, the running backs get a couple touchdowns. If Stafford gets a rushing, touchdown like he did last week. If it's another OBJ fade, like the guy's got 5 touchdowns the last 6 games or something like that. If Higbee gets a couple, it could be a Higbee game. There's just so much. Cooper Cup's touchdown equity is just squeezed quite a bit more than Devontae Adams. Of course, Cup's going to get his catches and yards, no question. But we've seen it in the past. If he doesn't get his touchdown and he gets a 23, 24 point game, yeah, that's still valuable on a 4-game slate. But you're not dying if you don't have Cooper Cup and his a 20, 21, 22 point, or last week 17-point game. So anyways, that's I know that's probably the most popular or biggest play that I guess I'm kind of fading Cooper Cup, which hurts. Again, it hurts to say, but I'm liking Cam Akers. Like I said, he just looked so explosive last week. They're throwing him, wheel routes 40 yards down the field. They let OBJ do a double pass, chucked it deep to Cam Akers. They did give him some looks inside the 10. Yes, Sony did get some as well. But remember, this is the first game that they're really starting to see more and more of what Cam has. And what I think his first game he was pretty limited, wasn't he? The first. Yeah, like 5 carries, right, against San Fran. So, and that was, whatever. I mean, it wasn't a playoff game. So, yeah, I think that I'm heavy on Cam Akers this week. I just think at the price it's just mispriced, 5,500. For a pretty good matchup. Tampa is not as good against the run as they once were. Certainly as they were even earlier in the year. I don't mind Higbee at that price. He's got a ton of red zone looks, so I don't mind that. Again, the touchdown equity is spread pretty wide on LA. On the Tampa side, the only play that I'm actually interested in, which is kind of weird for me because it's not like my type of play. I don't play him that often, but it's Mike Evans. If they don't put Ramsey on the outside, they're going to have really, really big problems trying to guard Mike Evans. I mean, he's going to have the biggest size advantage of any wide receiver versus a cornerback for the whole slate. I mean, it's bad. I think he's got a 6-inch or 7-inch height advantage and almost 50 pounds. I can't remember that corner's name. He's not any good though. So they haven't been putting Ramsey to the outside very much, anyways. They're down to just Mike Evans and Gronk, and they're just going to keep force feeding him the ball. His routes look really good last week too. I mean, Mike Evans had a much wider route tree than he usually did when Godwin was in, when AB was in, when they had a really healthy Fournette. So I like Evans' role. I like his matchup. That's about all I actually want, surprisingly, on Tampa, though.
That's interesting. Honestly, would have thought that not necessarily that you're going to overload to this game. I feel like this is seen as the second best game, and I completely get what you're going with here. But Ben, what are you looking at specifically here?
Yeah, this is another game. I like the underdogs. I like the underdogs in 3 of the 4. So maybe I'm just stupid, but I think the biggest news from this game is Tristan Wirfs and Jansen both have not practiced yet this week. So I don't know. We'll wait and see what news we get on Friday. But I mean, they could be without at least one or both of these guys, which would obviously be big for Brady. I think it's a Gronk game, especially with a banged up offensive line. I agree to an extent on Evans. I think he's a good play for sure. I think he's going to be lower owned than, obviously Adams, Cooper Cup. I think Steph Diggs is going to be higher owned than Mike Evans. I think Jamar Chase probably, AJ Brown probably higher owned. I think all those guys will be higher owned than Evans. So I definitely think he's interesting, but I think I lean Gronk if I'm picking one. Fournette, I don't know what to do with him if he's going to play. I 100% agree with Matt on Cam Akers. I think Cam Akers is my favorite running back play on the slate this week, so I'm going to be locking him in. Fournette, I don't know, man. Especially if they're down like linemen. What's your read on that, Matt? Like, say they bring Fournette back and he's, they're like he's good to go. You get that boost of confidence from Bruce Arians. He's like, yeah, he's good to go. What are you doing with that?
I wish he was priced higher so I wouldn't even have to think about it.
Yeah, for me though, I like Akers more. I like Singletary more, and I like Mitchell more. I know you weren't as high on Mitchell, but I like all three of those guys more than Fournette, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I love Singletary this week too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the issue, right? I mean, this would be his first game back from a pretty lengthy absence, and it's a hamstring, man. Those things come back to bite you. He was just today going to test his top end speed, like his full speed run on a hamstring. So, I mean, look, Ronald Jones came back to practice today, right? I mean, you got Arians talking up his love for Keyshawn Vaughn, so it's just a little too touchy. You're right, and if you add all that in, if they're actually missing their starting tackles, like I'm out. Then if that's the case, right? I'm just out.
Yeah.
Especially against again, and you're facing that D line, like, dude, you need to be full health to even have a chance. So if they're not at full health offensive line wise, and there's some questions in that running back room, I would probably fade him. I mean, I am planning on fading him as of now, anyways.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Bills, I'll kick to you here. I mean, I don't know. Matt's got me thinking on Adams versus Cup. I still think I like Cup more. The problem with me is, like, for a while, like, we were spending $10K on him, and now he's down to 86. I know Adams is 85. Like, they're both just too cheap, in my opinion, for the slate. It's going to be easy to fit either of them. I still think I like Cup a little bit more, but it's super close. Any of the supplementary Rams guys I think are fine. Higbee, Odell. If you're not using Cup, I think Odell's super interesting to get, but I'm definitely going to have Cam Akers, so I don't know if I'll go overboard here.
Real quick though, Ben, if Whitworth doesn't play, like, that's bad for Cup. Cup does these long developing routes, and he makes it look easy, and he'll get 25 yards on a completion, but, like, if there's
what is the word on him? Because they use Cup to block a lot too. Not that they're just going to, like, make him start blocking, but, like, they could definitely scheme like more plays where he's blocked, because he's such a good, he's literally like the best blocking wide receiver.
It doesn't look really good for Whitworth. He DNP'd yesterday. I think he DNP'd today as well. I mean, he's 40 years old, right? He's going to bounce back like a 23-year-old. So dude, I'm a little
literally been playing, I think, my entire life. What year did he get drafted?
Right.
Second round of 2006. I was like 10 years old when this guy got drafted, and I'm 26. And he's still playing football. It's insane.
I was 20 when he got drafted, so I'm still goddamn old.
And he's still playing at a high level on the offensive line.
I know, dude, and he's so, like, fat and just like.
I know, he just looks like he's out on the grill on, like, a Sunday afternoon. Yeah,
he does.
Legend.
Anyways, Bales, what's your angle on this?
Yeah, I mean, you guys really covered it well. I think the kind of the obvious guy that sticks out is Cam Akers. You both talked about him. I don't really need to go into too much depth on that. I'm fine with Cooper Kupp. I think I probably prefer Devontae Adams too. I just felt like a homer before Matt also said that he preferred it. I just was assuming that I was thinking Green Bay was in this better spot and that they were going to do better than what they actually were going to do. So tried to keep that a little bit out. I think it's completely viable for you to play both of them. I don't think it's going to be that difficult to get them both in your lineups as well, if you really, really want to. So no problems there. I do think that just moving off of Kupp to Odell and then obviously hoping for the touchdown equity does make a lot of sense. I believe Odell scored in every game with LA except for 2. So, I mean, plenty of touchdowns there. And realistically, Tampa's probably not that they have the ability to slow down Cooper Kupp, but they're probably going to do everything in their power to try to take him away at least a little bit. There's certain receivers that doesn't really work against, but when you look at it, if it even takes away a few targets for his price tag, when you're looking at the other high-end guys, obviously that's a major key for it. So I do think that that's relatively interesting. One of the weirder things to note for this is Tom Brady actually scored 32 fantasy points and threw for 1 touchdown in their first game, which is pretty ridiculous. I think he had like 55 pass attempts though, which, likely isn't going to happen again. So you're not really going to be looking at that type of score where he boasts, the 45 fantasy point ceiling if he does happen to throw for more touchdowns. It's kind of not what's going to go on here. But no, I do think that you guys outlined it well. Gronk and Mike Evans, obviously the top options for Tampa. You have, the secondary guys for LA and all that good stuff. Not too much to add. I feel the same way. It doesn't really seem like Tampa Bay is going to lean into one workhorse running back. They've kind of been split. Like last week, they split between, I know Gio Bernard took on a pretty heavy role, but Keyshawn Vaughn, they're not going to be running nearly as much as they did last week to get everyone the carries that they need. So that's probably a situation to avoid. Not much else to add, honestly, for this game. I think it was broken down pretty well. You guys handled it before I even jumped on here, which is always good to see that we're on the same page without too many major disagreements, I guess would be the best way to put it. But we can shift to what is projecting to be the best game of the slate, Kansas City, Buffalo. 1.5 point spread for Kansas City, 53.5 point total. I'm assuming that Ben is on Kansas City. I'm also on, or not on Kansas City, on Buffalo. I'm also on Buffalo in this game. Matt, who do you just think wins outright?
Buffalo.
3 for 3 on Buffalo.
3 smart guys on this podcast right here.
So shift over to Ben. Break this down for us a little bit. And honestly, we haven't really offered too many bets in this game or on this podcast outside of the first game. We kind of forgot to do that. But if there's anything you're looking to bet, player props or anything, let us know that too.
Yeah. So Matt, before you got on, I was talking. I think Tannehill is a good play this week at 5,800 on DraftKings. I just don't think you need him. So I'm gonna play probably my main lineup. I'm just gonna have Josh Allen and Steph Diggs stack. I think it's too easy to fit them. And then I like Singletary as well. So I'll probably just have all 3 of those guys, to be honest. We'll just go Bills on slot Singletary. Bales is like so happy, but I mean, this dude's role has been so good the last month. Obviously, like you're expecting them to put points up here. I think you can definitely attack them. The Chiefs, that is, on the ground. So I think it's a good spot. And then Diggs is just like, I don't know, like he shouldn't be 6,500. I know he hasn't had like that ceiling that he had last season, but I mean, the usage for the most part has still been there. In terms of targets, air yards, all that stuff. Like he's still getting looks and all that. He just hasn't had, I feel like, touchdowns. Like he just hasn't ran super hot with touchdowns at all. But I just think 6,500 is too cheap. And I think Josh Allen has the high ceiling on the slate, and that's all I care about at quarterback. So I'm just going to stack the Bills. The Chiefs are like a weird spot for me. I kind of talked about this earlier this season, but they've kind of hit this point where like they're so good offensively. They're like annoying to play in fantasy because they'll get down in the red zone and they'll like let Travis Kelce line up at quarterback and like they do all the random stuff. And I feel like that gets amplified in the playoffs. Like, to be quite honest with you, like they did it last week. I know they were up by a bunch of points when they did it, but that is something like I factor in. That's why I lean Allen over Mahomes. I think Tyreek and Kelce are fine. I like Kelce more than Tyreek, Matt. I don't know if you disagree with that, but like it's funny to see Tyreek at 6,600, but I think Kelce is just a better play for $100 less. And then if you want to take a cheap play, Pringle's 4,200, but I probably won't need it, especially if I play Cobb. So it's probably just the Bill stack for me, and then Travis Kelce from this game.
I think that's extremely smart. I think one of the big things with Tyreek Hill, not that he necessarily needs the ridiculous air yards. He doesn't have to have the crazy shot because they do throw him a lot of screens and stuff. The Bills are last in the NFL in air yards allowed. They've allowed almost 400 fewer than Cleveland, who's second. I guess maybe it would be last. They've allowed the fewest air yards in the NFL.
Dude, the Browns just wasted a dominant defensive year. Like, can you imagine doing that?
They really
just
did.
Imagine that.
But
Horrible.
I think that takes away from Tyreek Hill quite a bit because, the 60-yard touchdown probably doesn't happen against that defense. And that's a big part. Not that necessarily the only part of his game or anything at this point, maybe a couple of years ago, sure. But really big part of where his pure upside and his just ridiculous ceiling comes from. So I feel like, oddly enough, even at 6,600, this is kind of a full fade Tyreek for me. And I think if you're making a bunch of lineups, you don't necessarily have to. He's the kind of guy that can break any slate, so it doesn't really matter. But Matt, are you on Travis Kelce over Hill as well? And are you going to use both of them, or are you just fading either of the two?
Yeah, I mean, I won like 6K last week playing them both, right? So you'd think I'd go back to the well, Hill and Kelce, but no. Real quick though, keep in mind, like the pricing, it's not going to make sense because there's only the best teams left with a lot of good offensive players on these 8 teams, and there's no shitty teams with low cost players for their number 1 receiver, number 2 receiver. So like they couldn't have, and they got $1 million to first contest that they got to fill. So they could not have made a slate that's playable with all these guys in their typical 8K range. I mean, that's why it's just a different game this week. Like Diggs has to be 6,500. Tyreek has to be nice and low like this because you just otherwise couldn't create rosters with their typical pricing because all there is really good teams left at this point. So I'm not, I'm just trying to build good teams. I'm not trying to tell myself, well, I got to play Diggs, he's 6,500, or I got to play, Hill, he's 6,600, lowest he's been all year. Yeah, it's a different game this week. It's a different format almost. It's just like there's goofy pricing and Showdown. It's the same thing. It's just a different format with a 4-gamer like this. So I'm fading Hill. Yeah, I actually am fading Tyreek. This team, giving up the least amount of production to wide receivers, 2 high safety looks, really good, talented safeties in the back end that take away the big play. Last time they played, with this new look defense as compared to last year, he had 13 targets, Tyreek did, but he went 7 for 63, so he's quick enough and shitty enough to dance around the red zone and get in the end zone. There's no question about that. But he's just like you guys mentioned, he doesn't have the Tyreek Hill upside that he might normally have. And he got hurt, late in the year. And all that's happened is Mahomes has grown more confident than the ancillary receivers like Hardman and Pringle. I think Pringle's a really good play this week for the price. He guy has two touchdown games in the last few games, getting peppered with targets out of the slot, playing 70% of slot snaps last week. So if they're going to go 3 wide in a competitive game with it, where we all think they might even be losing at times, I think Byron Pringle's going to be seeing the field a lot. We saw it. Kelce got to throw his touchdown pass to Pringle last week. I always look for stuff like that. When you see trick plays or whatever like that, if they're involving someone in that trick play, that means something. Like I mentioned, Cam Akers getting the pass from Odell, Pringle getting the pass from Kelce. So I like Pringle this week. I'm likely playing him. That's for my build right now, that thing I'm going with. That's my only KC player, and I'm probably going to be going Josh Allen and running it with Singletary and actually probably Devin Knox. Not because it's or Dawson Knox rather, not because it's like the greatest matchup ever or anything like that. Just more of game environment, what KC gives up. I know his production against KC early in the year was kind of fluky on a really big play, but what's happened is that like Josh Allen's caring less and less about Cole Beasley or even Isaiah McKenzie across the slot, and he's looking at Dawson Knox, man. So on the road, at Arrowhead, I think he's going to be looking for big man Knox quite a bit. He's got the built-in red zone efficiencies and looks as well. So I like that pairing of Knox Singletary with Josh Allen, who, again, I just think anyone but Josh Allen is just kind of it's just the wrong play. I mean, this guy as a road dog with a massive team total. No one has his type of rushing upside. He chucks the ball a million times. So yeah, but then you can just scoop up most of the touchdown equity with Singletary. The guy's top 5 in broken tackles. He's a top 10 graded running back now. They're trusting him. He's a bell cow back with 7 touchdowns the last 5 games. If he's not 70-80% rostered, that's also suboptimal. I just think you have to play Singletary. I don't know why you wouldn't. It's a great matchup. It's they're facing the worst defense on the slate too in KC. So those are the main pieces I like. I think Pringle might be, well, we'll see. I think you said there's other value like Cobb. I'm probably playing Cobb and Pringle because I'm trying to get up to some higher price people. But yeah, I don't think I'm forgetting anyone. I mean, I guess it's a little crazy not to even consider Mahomes, but I just think, I mean, think about it, Mahomes is playing the Bills, right? A really good defense.
Yeah.
And you get to play Josh Allen against the Chiefs. Like, I just think it's a better play. I don't know. I just can't see myself getting to Mahomes.
Yeah, I think more of it, you got to factor in more, especially with it only being 4 games. Like, you just need to think more in terms of like what other people are doing, right? Like, if you're playing Josh Allen, obviously he's going to be owned. Obviously, Singletary's going to be owned. So you got to start to think about what percentage of teams are going to have Josh Allen with Devin Singletary both, and then figure out what other pieces from that game you think those people will be incorporating. What percentage of people that have both those guys will have someone else on the Chiefs. Like you said, like playing Pringle, like so say Josh Allen, is 40% owned, right? Whatever. I'm just throwing that out there. It could be less, but whatever. And then say Singletary's 60% owned, right? What percentage has both those guys together? And I think if you figure that out, I don't think Byron Pringle will be a popular, run back for that stack. So like you said, Matt, that's a good way to get a little bit different while still playing what we feel is obviously the best spot there.
You can add in Dawson Knox there too. I think generally
that's what I'm playing. Yeah.
Yeah, most people are going to stack, even if they use Singletary on top of it, but most people are just going to stack Stephon Diggs. It's not difficult to get him into your lineup. And you obviously have, the 2 touchdown potential of Dawson Knox. And I actually was considering Dawson Knox anytime touchdown this week. So it feels good to know that Matt is also.
Dude, I loved Knox. Do you guys see what happened? I had Knox in my my DraftKings core plays last week, and I moved off him like just a total fish like 20 minutes before the game. Yeah, and then Knox just going ham. It's like, I don't know, like I knew he was a good play, and I played him, and he was so low owned, and I just like got dusted.
Dude,
like an idiot.
By the way, Isaiah McKenzie out-snapped and out-targeted, Cole Beasley last week. So,
yeah, I was a little bit surprised. Yeah. I feel like these teams generally like they lean on like the vets, but yeah, I mean, I actually think that was smart. I mean, McKenzie clearly has juice once they started giving him some run like towards the end of the season. So I thought that was smart.
Let me before we finish up and everything, let me ask you this. And these are really thin plays. You're not going to go there, I don't think, but I do want to get your guys' thoughts specifically on the situation. Obviously, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is back. Jerick McKinnon taking on a significantly bigger role. He actually looks good. And then you have Daryl Williams, who saw limited run against Pittsburgh, but also is dealing with an injury, who now is a week healthier. And he did suit up. He did get 1 carry last week, and he didn't re-aggravate his injury in the game, at least that they announced. I know he's not practicing, but you have to assume that he probably suits up unless they just feel really comfortable running McKinnon, Edwards-Helaire with Derek Gores.
Daryl Williams is done, dude. In my opinion, he's done.
He's toast.
I don't think he gets more than 2 touches.
I don't think he gets in the game, dude.
Yeah, I don't think he plays a snap. Bales, I just think that CEH, they're gonna like. Plus, he fumbled too. Like, dude, it pissed Reed off. Like, I think it's gonna be.
Yeah, dude.
I think it's gonna be CEH mixing in with some McKinnon.
Usually, okay. I wasn't anticipating like this major role for Daryl Williams. I assumed once Edwards-Helaire came back, and McKinnon, obviously being the type of running back that Andy Reid likes, obviously, the kind of running back that Patrick Mahomes likes too,
right?
And looking good in recent games, I would assume that he would take over, obviously, the 2. But do you think that Edwards-Helaire just becomes kind of the more of a main focal point, or do you think it's closer to a 50-50 split?
I think it's closer. I would play if I'm playing anyone on KC that's a running back. It's McKinnon.
Yeah, me too. I think it falls into the classic. Well, it falls into the CEH and Daryl Williams splits. Maybe even a little bit more towards McKinnon since he's healthier and looking good the last couple weeks.
I think it's. I would not be shocked if McKinnon just gets like more work than CEH for sure. Like definitely.
Yeah. Kansas City seems like the kind of team that would also.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about like the assumption of rational coaching like all the time, but like Andy Reid's not dumb, and you highlighted it. Like he likes guys like McKinnon, right, that can catch the ball, that are really good in space, and that's exactly what McKinnon's always been. He's just always gotten hurt. So the fact that he came in last week and just went ham, like it would just be dumb for them not to give him the ball again on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. That does it for the 4 games. I guess because Matt wasn't here, is there anything you want to add to the Cincinnati?
Yeah, give me like a
Tennessee
quick
give us?
breakdown of that Titans Cincy game, Matt. Like what are you doing there?
So a quick breakdown is Jamar fucking Chase.
All right.
Thank
let's
you.
go.
We're on the same
Dude,
page
this
there.
Tennessee team has forced the most targets to wide receivers, opposing wide receivers, second most catches, second most yards. They do not blitz. They blitz at a bottom 4 rate. They are the send 4 and play man coverage type of defense that Vrabel likes to run. You got Jamar Chase with that ungodly good chemistry with Burrow on the road. I think it's going to be against a lot of man coverage with not much talent in the secondary. I think you're going to see Jamar Chase just peppered with targets. He gets deep shots, intermediate shots, end zone, red zone looks. He's a better football player than T. Higgins. T. Higgins was just dusted last week for nothing. I know I'm not saying that's who T. Higgins is now, and now he's a 1 catch for 10 yards guy. I know not the case, but I think Jamar Chase is. I mean,
Jamar Chase is definitely better.
Yeah.
Like
he's my
I
he's my
agree with
favorite
that.
play of the
like
week, though.
yeah. All right, nice.
So-
nice. We were talking about it. Like we definitely think since he throws a lot, so that's good.
Yeah.
Like we're definitely on the same page there.
The one
Yeah,
thing,
and think about it. You could have Burrow underwhelm for like 260 and 2, but probably Chase gets like 110 and 1 or 2 of
Mhm.
that. I think it's. I mean, look, I'm probably playing one lineup this week, and it's going to have Jamar Chase in it.
Yeah. So okay, Bales, go ahead because then I'm gonna ask a question. But go ahead.
I was just going to say there's been people, and I broke this down earlier, but there's been people that have said like they're concerned that Tennessee just goes ahead and throws 2 guys on Jamar Chase. I
Yeah,
said
that's
that
what I was
can't
gonna ask.
possibly happen because the other receivers are fine. They're just going to destroy Tennessee's defense anyway. Like if
Yeah.
Jamar Chase gets 2 specific players for the double team, Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins are going to go off, and they're going to force it out of the coverage of Tennessee anyway. Are you concerned with Jamar Chase just picking up a pure double team all game and then them obviously just throwing elsewhere?
Dude, Burrow will destroy them. So Burrow's the number 1 passer against the blitz. When people blitz, that means there's usually an open player downfield, and he reads the field. I mean, he's the number 1 passer against the blitz, and he's in the second year. He reads the field so well. If they're going to double Chase, he's just going to read the field and find the open man. I mean, it'll get ugly real quick. Like he doesn't care. He'll throw to who.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. So like, I know
Yeah.
Vrabel comes from that Bill Belichick school, right? So like, what like you think they're just going to take Chase away and he'll be like, oh, I'll just let T. Higgins and all these other guys beat me? Like I think it's something to think about. But we've seen like this has been like 2 months of games like where people just leave Jamar Chase on an island and he just shreds them every single time.
Yep.
Like it makes no sense. Like the Raiders are notorious for like not adjusting or like doing anything like that. So it wasn't shocking to me that they just left him single covered last week. So I'm just wondering like if Tennessee does the same thing because if they,
Ben, they
it's
might.
interesting to talk about.
Yeah, they might, but I think we can all agree that Burrow will pick them apart really quickly since that's actually his skill set is
100%,
reading
yeah.
defenses quickly. So, I mean, yeah, they can try, but it'll get ugly nasty and really, really bad. So I think, man, and he just gets every type of look. That's what's so awesome about it. He's just like Devontae Adams. He gets every type of look. Man, and I don't know, on the road in the playoffs, big game, the chemistry they have, I think that's worth something, man. I don't know. I think Chase
I
can
agree.
just go off.
I feel like the type of chemistry of the specific players especially in certain situations, like if you need to win the game, Joe Burrow's going to Jamar Chase. That's what happens. Like, and I think that a lot of people will overlook that. They'll be like, yeah, but what if T. Higgins is open? Okay, but they're going to game plan for Jamar Chase in that specific situation. And when it comes down to it, Burrow's going to his guy, and that is just how you play football.
So I was almost hoping you weren't going to ask about the game, and then when it came to hot takes or like bold predictions, I was just going to out of nowhere say Jamar Chase 130 and 2.
So we're all right. So we're taking Jamar Chase over receiving yards. Then I think it's 76 and a half.
Whoa, pal.
76
Chill,
and a half.
guys, go to betkarma.com. Check out my article. Maybe it's in there.
I give that away. I'm sorry.
Owned. Okay.
All right, let's get some bold calls in here. Matt, obviously, did you say 130 and 2?
It did. I did.
Hell of a call. Ben, what's your bold call for the weekend?
I'm gonna say Elijah Mitchell runs for 150 yards.
150.
It's possible.
Okay. I'll go Green Bay wins by 3 touchdowns.
Whoa.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Jesus.
that's that bold, guys.
But
3
okay,
touchdowns.
are you giving me 21 points then if we bet?
Yeah,
I'm
dude,
down for
I'll
that.
lay you like, oh my God.
Yeah,
3
that
touchdowns.
seems fair, guys. I'll do that.
Yeah.
No,
Wait,
I mean,
let's do one more. Who?
all right.
What?
Go ahead.
Who is the highest scoring tight end? Because this is a loaded tight end week. I think it's kind of a hard position. Who's the highest scoring tight end?
Ooh, that's tough. I'm gonna get weird with mine. I'm going Dawson Knox.
Ooh, okay. Maybe I shouldn't say high scoring. Maybe I should say best point per dollar. Maybe that's a better conversation to have. But
Yeah, then I will definitely go Dawson Knox.
okay, Ben, who's your favorite tight end play? I'm really curious.
Gronk.
Gronk. Okay.
It's Gronk week for me, I think. I think I'm gonna do everything I can to get him in my lineup.
Man,
5,800 is
I
a
gotta
weird
look at-
price point, but
I know. I got to look at Gronk way more than I am.
well, I mean, especially if those linemen are out, dude. I mean,
Right.
I think that's even
Yep.
better for Gronk.
Yep.
Who do
Okay.
you got in that situation, Matt?
I mean, I think just because of the roster I'm building, I'm falling on Knox. I don't know that means I think he's the best play. Of course, Kelsey can just kill us, and go for 28 points. But this Bills defense has been good against tight ends for years now, man. They got super athletic outside linebackers and good safeties. God, I for like total for the probability of top scoring, I think I might have to agree with Ben and say Gronk. The more I think about it, I think it's a good spot.
Yeah, I think Brayton plays well, 2,700. I don't know if I'll need that.
Right, I'm not
like
gonna need it, I don't think.
I think I'd rather just get up to Gronk, but I do think he's interesting. He has like a legit red zone role. He caught a pass on that. It was like their first scoring drive last weekend. I think he got pushed out like the 2, maybe.
Yeah.
He has a red zone role, and they play more 2 tight end with what's been going on with no Godwin, no AB. Like he's on the field like a lot more than some of the other receivers. So
Especially
I
if
think
the
Bright's
tackles
cool
are out. They could bring in tight
yeah,
ends too.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, that is what we got for you guys for the divisional round. Again, if you enjoy the video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Drop any questions or comments you have in the comments. We will be in throughout the week to answer them. Thanks for joining us, Matt. Also, thank you, Ben, obviously. Great time. But good luck this week. Hopefully everyone really dominates the 2-day slate. I feel like that's kind of a lost art that, we used to have the Sunday into Monday night slate. We don't do that anymore, obviously, because people don't want to wait for their money. But good luck on this 4-game slate.